Hello everyone, this is Pranay Sharma and today we are going to see objects and we are going to see how we use arithmetics to use numbers or objects that we are going to store. Now objects are characters or words that we use to store values for later use in our workspace. Now workspace, everything that you see here is our workspace. In our workspace we have console that we use to actually run all our codes. Then we have this text editor which we can write our codes and we can store our codes using. Global environment shows all our objects that we have stored, which value is stored where. And this is a versatile place, plots, or we can search for help and everything that we are going to do here we'll see later on. So first of all, an object. When in the last video I wrote x is equals to 2, y is equals to 3, I was basically saying that these are objects. X is an object that has value 2, y is an object that has value 3. And then when I added x plus y, I was saying that we'll add these two objects, whatever value they had, write down that particular value. Now objects can be used to store numbers, it can be used to store words, it can be used to store whole sentences. When we talk about numbers, we can have positive, negative numbers, we can have integers, we can have decimal values. So these are different types of values that we can store in an object. Now how do we name these objects? Right here I have just used x and y, but we can have complex names as well. Object names may include letters that can be capital or small. We can have numbers, but the number should not come first, and we can use period or full stops. So these are the things that we can use while we are writing a name of an object. Like here, if we have written x is equals to x is equals to 2 and y is equals to 3, if I press Ctrl Enter, it is going to show here in the global environment we have values x is equals to 2, y is equals to 3. And then when I run this x plus y, Ctrl Enter, you can see we have 5 here. X plus y is 5. Other than that, I can write something like ab dot c. Now when I say ab.c, this will be another name for an object, but as you can see, when I am writing small a small b dot, then we have capital C. This should not change because the capitalization and the small letters, wherever they are, has to be exactly same, because ab dot small c is going to be a different object. So the capitalization or small letters has to be exactly same. So if I say ab.c is equals to 7, I press Ctrl Enter, you can see the value is there. If I write ab.c but I do not capitalize c and I try to press Ctrl Enter, you can see the error here. Error, object ab.c not found. Whenever you see such kind of an error, first of all check whether your spelling of your object is correct or not. So this is the main form of error when our spelling is wrong. So you should always check for spelling whenever you see such an object. So when I say capital C, Control Enter, and you can see that I get 7. So clearly my value is AB dot capital C. In this way, I can write something as, let's say, age is equals to 25. And now if I want to see age, Control Enter, you can see age is 25. So in this manner, we can store our values. Now the symbols that are used to actually store values is not just equal to. Equal to, I use equal to a lot because it is so much easier to use equal to, but the main symbol that people use in R is arrow, and I'll show you how to make that arrow. I can say my capital A and then the less than button and the minus button. So we are saying A less than arrow 1. If I press Ctrl Enter, it is going to store capital A as 1. As you can see, we can use this arrow to store values, or the other way around. I can say 2 minus greater than symbol, and then I can say capital B, Ctrl Enter. As you can see, capital B has been stored as 2. So in this 3 ways we can actually store a value. So we can have arrow, we can have equal to, and we can have the arrow going the other way around. So first we write down the letter, then the arrow pointing towards it, and then we have our number. So as I told you that the objects can be used to store letters, or it can be used to store words, or it can also be used to store sentences. So I can say name is equals to, and whenever you are storing a sentence or a word or a letter or any non-numerical value, you have to put double quotation marks or a single quotation mark. So I'll say Pranay Sharma. When I press Ctrl Enter, you can see here in the global environment I have another object named name, and the value of that is Pranay Sharma. If I write name, you'll see the answer it shows is Pranay Sharma. So in this manner, you can name a particular object, you can store a value inside that particular object. Now if you want to remove, I don't need this name. So what I will do is, I will use remove. For that we have a function called rm. So I'll say rm, and any function will always have brackets in it because sometimes it takes some values from some other objects. So that is why we have to specify those values inside those brackets. Those values are called as arguments. So we'll have function and its arguments. So in this case, the function has an argument of a particular object because we are trying to remove a object. So I'll say remove, and I'll have name. You can also write remove as remove, but we have a simpler way rm, so I prefer that. And if I press Ctrl Enter, you can see that in my global environment the name has been removed. So we have remove. If you want to see the list of all the objects that you have another function called ls list. Control Enter, and you can see it is showing you we have a, we have ab.c, we have age, we have b, we have x, and we have y. So these are list of all objects that we have stored. Now this would have been useful when we do not have the global environment, but the global environment always shows you the values. So this is not that much useful. But if I want to remove all the values together, I can use rm, and inside this function I can give another function that is list function. So I have rm remove the whole list, and when I press Ctrl Enter, it says error must contain names or characters or string. The mistake is we have to tell that this is a list. So I can say list is equals to ls, Ctrl Enter. Now the whole list has been removed. So either I can remove one single object, I can remove multiple objects. I'll do one thing, I'll again enter all of these values, and I selected all of these codes and I press Ctrl Enter, and you can see it basically run all of these code lines one by one, and I have all my values here. So I can also remove multiple at a time. Instead of saying remove the whole list, if I just want to remove the capital A and capital B, capital A comma capital B, remove these two values, and you can see the capital A and capital B have been removed. So in this way we can remove these values. Now what kind of arithmetic operations can we do on these particular objects? Now first of all, any arithmetic operations that you want to do on any of the objects, those objects has to be numerical values. You cannot do arithmetic operations on non-numerical values like we had name here. If I try to add, if I have x plus name and I press Ctrl Enter, it says error in x plus name, non-numeric argument to binary operator. So it is saying that we have a binary operator, it has to have numerical values, and name is clearly not a numerical value. So we should have numerical values. So the first operation that we have seen is addition. Like we did before, x plus y, it gave us a value. You can store that value in a third value as well. Let's say q is equals to x plus y, and our x was 2, y was 3, q is 5. You can clearly see here. We can store the value as well. Other than addition, we can subtract. We'll say, let's say small a is equals to x minus y. You can see we get a minus 1. Similarly, we can divide. For divide, we have to use our backslash. So I'll have x divided by y, and we have 0.666667. So you can see that we can store this value as well. It will be stored in the decimal way. I can have multiplication. For multiplication, we use asterisk mark, that is above 8. So we'll use shift 8, or if you have your numpad, you can see that value above 9. We have x into y, Control Enter, we'll have 6, 2 into 3 will be 6. We can use powers. I can say x raised to y. This is the sign, upper arrow or upper whatever we can call it can be used for our power sign. So we'll have x raised to y. So 2 raised to 3, we should get an 8. If I press Ctrl Enter, we can see that we have 8. And we can also use double asterisk marks. X star star y is also x raised to y. Control Enter. So we get 8 again. Similarly, we can use numbers for power as well. I can say x raised to 2, x square should give me 4. X raised to, if I want raised to some fraction value, I can say 1 by 3, or let's say first I'll do 4 by 3. X raised to 4 by 3, we'll get this value 2.519824. Now I have put bracket here because it should know that the division is inside our power, not outside our power. If I did not use bracket, let's see what happens. Now here it can get confused and it will do x raised to 4 and then divided by 3. And you can see we have 5.33 because first it did x raised to 4 and then divided by 3. So we have to put brackets to show that we are saying 4 by 3 is in power of x. We can have square root. For that we have a function sqrt, square root of, let's say, 9 will give us 3. Or we can use our power. We could have written this as 9 raised to 1 divided by 2, and we'll again get 3. If you want to do cubic, we do not have a function for cubic power or cubic root, so you will use this y raised to 1 by 3. Then we can have log. If I say log of x, I'll get 0.6931472. That is nothing but our log to the base e of 2. Whenever we write log, it assumes it to be log to the base e. And if you want any other base, let's say 10, you will write log, then first whatever number is, so I'll have x and then comma, base, you'll have to specify the base, 10. Control enter. So you can see 0.30103 is our log of 2 to the base 10, and 0.69314 is log of 2 to the base e. Now whenever you write a function like log, if I write log and I put brackets, you will see that the RStudio recognizes that I have written a function and it gives me help. So it shows me first x, any number that I have to log, and then comma, I have to then specify the base. Base is equals to exp1. Now exp is another function, that is our exponential function. So if we write exp bracket 1, that just means it is e raised to 1, and if I press Control Enter, we get 2.718282. So that is basically our e raised to 1 or e. That is our Euler's constant. You can say exp bracket 2, that is e raised to 2, Control Enter, and you can see 7.389, that is square of our e square. So these are different functions. Other than that, if you want to write a factorial, for that we have a factorial function. So factorial of 5 factorial, I think 120. Yes, we have 120. Similarly, if you want combination, for combination we have choose. So if you want to write NCR, that is choosing R values from total of N values, then we have the function choose, and you can see here we have N comma K. First we have to talk about, first we have to give it the value out of which we need to choose, and then how many we have to choose. So let's say 10C2. So 10 comma 2. Choose, and if I press Control Enter, you will see we have 45, because 10C2 will be 10 into 9 divided by 2, that is our 45. Similarly, you can have absolute function. Absolute function removes negative sign if there is. So it gives you the absolute value of that particular term. So we have ABS for absolute, and if I write -1, it should give me +1. You can see ABS -1 gives me 1, and ABS 1, a positive value, should also give me 1. So that is an absolute value. We have a lot of different operations that we can do in R. These are just a few of them that I feel is going to be very important for us. So that is why I have listed them down. You can have a trigonometric function as well, but trigonometric functions are not part of our course. But if you want, I can talk about them as well. So in trigonometric functions, you can have our normal trigonometric functions as our sine, cos, and tan. If you say sine, now most likely this takes value in radians. We'll just check. Whenever you need to check about a function, you can use this help. So in this help tab, if you write a function sin, You can see it lists down all the functions that starts with sin. We'll select the sine function and we can read everything about that. So these functions give the obvious trigonometric functions. They respectively compute the cosine, sine, tangent, arc cosine, arc sine and arctangent and the two argument arctangents. So they have given us different functions. They have shown us usages and they have shown us arguments x and y or numeric or complex vectors. We'll talk about vectors later on. Now, in detail, you can see here angles are in radians, not degrees. For the standard versions, that is, the right angle is pi by 2, and in half rotations for cos pi, etc. So, sine pi by 2. For pi, you can write pi pi, most likely. Or we'll have to first define pi. Let's see. Pi divided by 2. Yes, it takes it as pi. So pi is another value pi that you can directly write. So we have sine pi by 2 and it gives me 1. Similarly, if I say cos pi, that should also be 1. Let's take cos pi by 4. And cos pi by 4 is our root 3 by 2, that is 0.7071. Similarly, you can have tan, you can have inverse function. For inverse functions, you write a sine is another way of writing inverse. Now we have always studied it as sine inverse, but in many places in many countries they write it as a sine, a cos, a tan. So a sine of 1 should give us 1.57, most likely that is our pi by 2. Let's see, pi divided by 2, that is, yes, 1.5707. Similarly, you can find your inverse functions. You can have hyperbolic, you'll have sine h, hyperbolic trigonometric functions, and you can have inverse hyperbolic, that will be a sine h. In this way, you will have trigonometric functions as well. I will conclude this video right now here, and before I do that, I will ask you to just practice a few arithmetic functions that arithmetic things that we have talked about here, and try to make a few objects and try them yourself at home before moving on to the next video.